What's up, Warriors fans? It's your main man, Max, here for Warriors Latest. And I gotta say, it has been a wild 24 hours when it comes to the NBA offseason. I have seen so many moves made that I just was completely just taken aback by some of the teams making these moves and other teams not making these moves. Now, we saw in the past 24 hours a lot of different people have signed. Jordan Clarkson has gone to the Knicks. Brook Lopez, a Warriors target who I've talked about before, is over in LA with the Clippers now. And just so many different players are going to so many different teams. But for the Warriors, they haven't really done anything in the last 24 hours. And I kind of like that. I got to admit, I really do, because it's like I've been saying, patience is going to be key when it comes to this offseason because they have so much money committed to Jimmy, Draymond, and Steph that they have to make sure that every single move they make is literally a sniper headshot and a perfect shot at that. Now, that being said, the biggest name I've seen regarding the Warriors and their interest in a free agent has been Al Horford. Now, for me, I'm sort of half and half with Horford. I like him because, one, he is a big man that stretches the floor, which is exactly what they need right now if they're going to win the title. But he's 39 years old, and yes, that does kind of fit in that 2-year timeline, but I don't know how he's going to put up, say, getting in there for 35 minutes a game and be a contributor for those 35 minutes. Remember, when he was with the Celtics, he wasn't really the main big man for that championship team last season. He was more of a backup for Kristaps Porzingis, who really was that stretch big for the Celtics. I remember back when the Celtics were in the finals the first time versus the Warriors, and he was that stretch big for them. He really didn't do all that much, but he was at least effective. And I'm not sure how effective he's going to be with the Warriors considering his advanced age, but I do believe it's something worth looking into. I saw his numbers the other day, and he was averaging 9 points per game, going on with 6 rebounds per game. And I'm like, all right, that's not bad. I like it. He's not going to be the primary focus of the offense like he was back in Atlanta many years ago, but he's a stalwart guy who comes in, does his job, and goes home. First one in, last one out. And that's the kind of thing the Warriors need. Now, aside from that, he still is an undersized center, which is something that I'm just not really a fan of because you're going to go up against a lot more big guys in the West than you are in the East. I mean, like I always say, we got to deal with Joker. We got to deal with Gobert. We got to deal with now Brook Lopez with the Clippers. We got to deal with Sengun. We got to deal with Steven Adams. We're going to have to deal with those guys in the playoffs, and the Dubs have to have a guy that matches up with them. Luckily, they still have the option of going after DeAndre Ayton, though I have seen some of those reports come out about his just terrible work ethic with the Blazers, and it's just something that's carried over from the Suns, and it's gotten me a little worried about that. So as long as the Warriors continue to wait and see, I'm still very happy with what they're doing. But I don't want them to jump the gun on any single free agent because there are a lot of guys out there that they can bring in, but they're going to cost money, especially now that it doesn't look like the Warriors are going to bring back any of their own free agents aside from the guys whose options they already picked up. We just saw Kevon Looney sign for 2 years in New Orleans. I'm not even sure how that's going to work out, but hopefully, I'm a big fan of Looney. I wish him the best. I hope it works out for him, but odds are he's going to be with a bottom feeder for the next 2 years, unless Zion sort of figures it out. But with that being said, it has been a second Christmas in July for me the past 24 hours because my 2 favorite buy low candidates are now unrestricted free agents. And that's Amani Bates and Brandon Boston Jr. Now, I love to talk about them because they have the potential to be real stars or at the very least contributing starters in this league. But they just need the option to grow. Now, in all odds, let's look at it. They're not going to get signed until later in the offseason because they were both two-way players. Amani was a restricted two-way player who was drafted just 2 years ago, and Brandon Boston was a two-way player for multiple teams, converted to a full-time deal. But it didn't work out in the Pelicans. I still believe that they have something to offer, though, and I believe that should the Warriors sign them and they'll get those big minutes with the Warriors and continue to develop getting that playing time, they're going to become guys that'll come off the bench and be spark plugs. They might even usurp guys like Moses Moody or even Buddy Hield in terms of getting minutes at the 2 or the 3. And I could really see that happening, especially if it's a low cost addition. Say they start out as two-way players and then move their way up to becoming regular season additions, getting like non-guaranteed contracts or something like that. That could be a huge boost for the Warriors, say come trade deadline time, where they could just, you know what, let's get rid of some of the extra pieces they have on their books and give Amani and Brandon Boston more time to develop. Now, with those guys in mind, I know they're going to be like later season additions, but I am happy that they're on the market because I really want the Warriors to sign them. I do believe that they are going to bring the Warriors to that next step after, say, the big three that they have now, Steph, Draymond, and Jimmy Butler retire. They're going to be those guys that sort of bring them along to those next steps, and then we'll see what happens. But one of the biggest news I've heard in the last 24 hours has been LeBron James. Yes, we know he picked up his option, but he made a statement that's saying, hey, I want to be part of a contender. And now that the Lakers are sort of having that coming to truth moment with LeBron, I'm really curious to see what happens when it comes to where he goes. Does he stay with the Lakers? Does he go to another team? And where does he go? And one of the teams I keep thinking about him going to is the Warriors, because they almost traded for him last trade deadline before they pivoted, went after Durant, and then went after Jimmy Butler, acquiring Jimmy Butler for a bunch of pieces. But I look at a potential trade for LeBron and what that would look like. Obviously, it would include Kuminga. It would likely include Buddy Hield and probably Moses Moody too. And I look at that and I'm thinking, does LeBron make the Warriors a better team? And I've thought a lot about it, and I think he does because he fits right into the starting lineup. Let's look at it. The starting lineup with LeBron would be Steph at the 1, Jimmy at the 2, LeBron at the 3, Draymond at the 4, and then whoever else comes in, maybe it is Al Horford at the 5. And then they just fill in the bench as they go. Now, those are guys that can still play heavy minutes. Maybe Draymond, not so much. You can move, say they do sign Brandon Boston and Amani Bates. You can move LeBron to the 4, allow, say, one of those two guys to play the 3, give Draymond some rest, or even have, say, Amani play the 2, Brandon play the 2, and then give those guys some rest. But it still remains to be seen because there's so many other teams that could bring him in, even in a 1-for-1 deal. I don't know if he may end up in the Bay, though if he does end up in the Bay, they are serious championship contenders. They will go punch for punch with this new Houston Rockets team that everybody seems to be scared of because the Rockets are bringing in everybody and they're going to be a problem for the Warriors. The Warriors can't rely on their history with the Rockets in the playoffs anymore. The Rockets have Fred VanVleet. They have Amen Thompson. They have KD. They have Jabari Smith Jr. on his new contract. They have Şengün at the 5 and a huge bench, which is scary. And imagine running that kind of hockey rotation with a bench that could be a starter on could be a starting lineup on a lesser team. Now, the Warriors are going to have to make those moves to do it. And maybe LeBron is that guy you can go out and get and bring in, and he really improves everybody on the roster because that's the kind of player he is. Now, don't get me wrong. I am not a LeBron fan in the least. I am a Jordan over LeBron 8 days a week, twice on Sunday. And I will even take Kobe over LeBron. But that doesn't mean I don't respect him being a great player. It is very hard to go to 8 straight titles. Yeah, he didn't win a lot of them, but he still led his team there. But that being said, we got to look at the bottom line. And the bottom line is the Warriors need to continue to be patient. There's going to be a lot of flurry of moves that are going to just make you anxious and make the team anxious and make them worry that, oh my God, we're losing out on all the best players. Next thing you know, you give a bad contract to a player who isn't deserving of that level of a contract. Now, thankfully, the Warriors have a good system in place and good management in place to prevent that from happening. But patience, again, is going to be the key. Because once young free agents get a little desperate and lower their asking price, that's when the Warriors should pounce. Because we look at it now, because of the first and second apron, teams are extremely limited to who they can sign, who they can trade for, and in all honesty, maybe they will go with shorter lineups, or they'll give a chance to a lesser free agent to see if they can develop him over, say, a more established guy who may cost a little more, but push them over the second apron. And that's where the Warriors are going to win. And if they continue to be patient this offseason and wait for the right time to strike, I have no doubt in my mind that they are going to be serious championship contenders, not only for this year, but for the year after. And for Warriors Latest, I'm your main man, Max, and as always, go Dubs.